Another podcast with Investment Education Academy. You have myself, Brad Simpson, with Leon Noble. And today we're going to be talking about Tesla. Some of the things you know, some of the things you think you know, and some of the things you probably never thought about. So Leon's going to tell you why we chose that topic, while I do a little bit of housekeeping.
Yeah, so we chose Tesla primarily because, so going back right before the pandemic, leading 2018, 2019, 2020, through the pandemic, Tesla was the darling stock of the market. Tesla could do no wrong. Anything Elon Musk said that was crazy or not, the stock went up. It became like a cult, had like a cult following, which it still kind of does. But the stock never went down, right? I mean, generally speaking, the stock generally went up in price no matter what happened. Sales were flat, revenue was down, whatever. The stock went up, and primary reason was because Elon Musk was always talking about things that are coming in the future: full self-driving, autonomous, software updates, solar panels, like anything, new models, anything he would say, the stock would jump up. One thing he said that he actually got in trouble for was he was talking about taking Tesla private, and posted on Twitter that funding had been received to take Tesla private, which was not true. Stock shot up. He ended up getting, I believe, fined and/or reprimanded by the SEC. So Tesla was a darling stock essentially through the pandemic. If you actually go back and look at Tesla's stock prior to the pandemic, didn't really do much, right? Like Tesla was more or less a flat stock through like the mid-teens of before the pandemic, like 2010 through like 2017, 18. It just kind of moved with the market. It wasn't really until 2020 in the pandemic that Tesla really took off. So it became this darling stock. Everybody loved it. People made a ton of money. But that was all fine until competition came in. So Tesla was generally the only, in the United States, really the only pure play EV maker that was producing cars at any sort of volume.
You talking about his desire to expand to the Chinese markets.
Well, yeah, right.
Asian markets.
Right. So that was US. And then their second largest market was Asia. So they went over there, built up what they call the Gigafactory, which makes the batteries and makes the cars. I think it's in one of the places in China. Massive. Yeah, but one of the massive factories in China where they build the cars. That either became their first or second largest market compared to the US. So China was and is a big deal to Musk. But what happened was their success became actually somewhat of their downfall, because they showed other car makers that this market is huge, it's profitable, there's huge demand. So then you had the Chinese EV makers that can make cars like 90% cheaper, flood the market. Then you had GM, Ford, Stellantis here, who started making EVs and hybrids. Now remember, Tesla's pure EV; they don't make hybrids. And then so in the US, you had the early adopters that bought the car, bought the EVs, the fanboys loved them. And over in China, while the Chinese makers over there were getting ramped up, Chinese consumers were buying Tesla EVs. Now Tesla's facing a lot of headwinds.
We got to talk about the early adopters too, the people who. Yeah. I mean, this is before Tesla had lots. If you all remember, Tesla, when they went to get into the U.S. marketplace, they had to actually have a storefront, not a lot. And so they were selling not Teslas to people who could see them, Teslas to people who just wanted them. And those people were pretty much dissolved or exhausted by the time Tesla got to a place where they were producing large car lots like a regular car company. Now, why is that important? Because then all those people have been exhausted, right? Now you're looking at the people who are curious. I'm curious about this EV. What's it going to do? Am I saving money on gas? Am I not saving? And then you have the people who started getting concerned about distance. Like, how far can I go? And then the U.S. was proving that more people prefer a hybrid than they do a pure EV play. And because of those threats, because of those kind of concerns for people. So now you have a world or a marketable, serviceable market that says, I don't want a pure electric car. Still curious about it, but I don't want it yet. I prefer a hybrid to give me security. Tesla's all EV. And then you have Elon Musk, who's also splitting his interest in a million different companies. And when you have split interest by a person who's so heavily involved in the company, it definitely creates concern for shareholders, in addition to the fact that, like Leon said earlier, most of the promises were of future success. And when you do look at, I'll say 2018, the profits for Tesla were really slow. it was still making like tech type moves. But when you look at how much money the company was making, it wasn't astronomical. It was really people believing that the future of the company was going to be so strong until, again, other players came in. And you got to think, most of the new players that came in started attracting those baby boomer dollars, because these are people who, love America, and they still want something with gas in it. Like, I want to have gas in it. I'll try it, but I need gas in it too. And that wasn't Tesla. And then you have Ford. All of them, everybody now has some version of an electric type car in their lineup. So profitability has been sinking. The company, the market share has been reduced. They're not going to gain the market share back the way they did when they first came out, because they were essentially the only play out there, and that's definitely not the case anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the two biggest reasons that at least U.S. consumers kind of shy away from Teslas is, one, this term that's called range anxiety, and basically what that means is people fear not having charging stations along the way. Like, we know at every corner right now, there are gas stations. You can get gas anywhere. It's not the same for EVs. You have to actually go around and look on the apps for them, but you have to like find a charging station. And then, so I saw a report today on I can't remember, Bloomberg or CNBC. It was crazy. So like you had, here's another thing. So just take a step back. So Tesla, one of the biggest things is charging stations, range anxiety, right? People don't feel comfortable. So what GM, Ford, and Stellantis did is they joined the Tesla supercharging network. So soon, if you have
they forced their way into the Tesla, because there was a point where Elon was fighting it.
Yes. Elon. So nobody really said why. It's like, dude, you can control this market. But yeah, they basically pressured him, and then he saw the light that, like, if you control this, you can control basically the charging for all EVs, which is a good place to be in. So the problem was that it was hard to find chargers. So the largest network for charging is the Tesla supercharging network. So all the major car companies joined that network. Problem was they showed. So if you go to some of these charging networks, you'll pull up. There'll be a line of 20 cars, and in the car that's actually charging, it's supposed to be a super fast charging network. In other words, it charges fast. A lot of times they were broken. It didn't charge fast, or didn't charge at all, right? So Tesla wasn't doing the greatest job of upkeeping their supercharging networks, which made it even more frustrating for people that had Teslas and or Stellantis or Ford that can now use this network. So that was another reason people stood back and just saying, you took a step back and saying, you know what, I don't have time to deal with this. I'll just go with an EV. A lot easier. I can get gas. It'll charge itself. That whole thing.
Hybrid.
Sorry, hybrid. The other thing was that's two of the pieces of this. Other thing was cost. So EVs are expensive. I think average EV is over like $55,000-$60,000, whereas hybrids I think are sub 50, between 40 and 50. So you're talking anywhere from a $10,000 to $20,000 savings. Another point that people don't like to talk about a lot, but it's also we're not political. But a lot of people that were buying Teslas were basically liberals who were about the climate, who were worried about renewable energies. They love the idea of Tesla, being a non-gas powered vehicle. Well, Elon Musk, for whatever reason, over the last 3 years, has come out far right. He has far right beliefs, far right, right. And I mean in the political sense, far right ideologies, and that's really alienated a lot of liberals who were buying up Teslas like crazy. So there's a whole host of reasons why Tesla is no longer this great stock. The main point, sales have plummeted. Tesla's China business has all but collapsed because, again, of all the I don't know, there's like 5 or 10 EV makers in China that are producing cars. So I think it's called Xiaoyi. I'm not probably saying the name wrong. They just came out with an EV that's less than $10,000. Less than $10,000 for an EV in China. Tesla can't produce a car right now for less than, I don't think, in a new car, I don't think for less than $60,000 at the cheapest produced. Less than $6,000 the cheapest. So the sales have plummeted because you have all this competition now in China. Over here in the United States, hybrids are taking over. Hybrids can run anywhere from high 30s to maybe mid 40s. So again, way cheaper than an EV. And their margins have suffered. Tesla used to have profit margins or sales margins like a tech stock in the 30, 40, 50% range. They've now plummeted down to the mid-teens and are probably going to go into the single digits. So the profitability has suffered because, again, all those reasons I gave of why the sales have stopped.
And they also have PEs like a tech stock too, though.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So
that's the problem. So Tesla's all out struggling. I cut my Tesla position a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I did too.
Brendan's pared his back and I've cut it pretty much of late. So that's one aspect of Tesla. Another issue with Tesla now, and another reason why shareholders are really not a fan of Musk is because, so I don't think a lot of people know this. In 2017-18, there was a vote by Tesla shareholders to give Musk a pay package, how much he was going to be paid over the next couple of years, of $56 billion with a B, $56 billion. That was his pay package with stock and cash compensation. I don't know the number of years, but it was a huge number. So that was all fine and good, like in the 18, 19, 20 time frame when the stock was doing great. Now the stock is down. I think over the last 2 to 3 years, the stock is down like 25%, way underperforming the S&P 500. So now shareholders are like, wait a minute, why are we paying this guy half of $100 billion, $56 billion, and we're not getting paid? Like, we're losing money on the stock. So the shareholders sued Tesla, took them to court. A judge said that yes, the amount, that compensation is exorbitant, it's too high, so that the pay package was shot down. I don't know the law behind this, but for whatever reason, the shareholders ultimately can decide. So there's a vote, even though the judge shot it down, the shareholders can bring it back if they want. So on June 13th of this year, the shareholders are going to vote on if Elon Musk is a 40-year slope, if Musk can keep his $56 billion pay package. The way it's looking right, so what it's doing is it's splitting the shareholder group. There's some that are pro-Musk and some that are anti-Musk. So there's a lot of infighting going on right now. A lot of people are selling the shares on this news because some people are saying, hey, if this is approved, that's ridiculous. Why do I want to own a stock of a guy who's making $56 billion and I'm down 30% over the last couple years?
Either way, it's kind of it's going to hurt the company, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If they approve it, you have all this money going out of a company that's already sinking. Let's start there. And then if it's not approved, then it's just showing, number one, a clear sign to Musk that his efforts aren't appreciated the way he wants them to be appreciated. And we all know he's like a big baby. There may be backlash. And so either way, if there's going to be some upheaval to, the company, however it plays out, in my opinion.
Yeah. And one thing he's upset about, and I kind of get this, and I'm not a Musk fan, but I kind of get where he's coming from. This was voted on by the shareholders, 5-6 years ago, and the shareholders approved it, right? All the shareholders said, hey, great, you approve it, and we're good with it. Now the stock is doing bad. Some of them want to rescind it. And he's looking at it like, well, you approved it before, like you gave me the right to have this money. How do you just take it away from me now? So I kind of get his beef with that. But at the same time, again, if you have millions of dollars in the stock and you're down 25-30%, you're not happy. So this is going to weigh on this. This has and will weigh on the stock over the next. The vote is in less than a month. It's about 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's middle of June.
Yeah, I think June 13th. And then whatever happens, there's going to be reverberations around that after it. So
Tesla, that part.
Yeah.
If the market hates uncertainty.
Right.
Like, I don't care what market it is, whoever's buying anything. Uncertainty when there's money on the table is a bad thing. So then you kick into the speculators, and you're going to have people who are probably going to short the stock, and that's going to drive, if you're no short stock. So those are going to be people who are going to be buying the stock with the hopes that it actually goes down. And most retail investors don't know like who's doing what and why. They just know it's all of a sudden all these short sales or the stock is being kind of positioned to go down, and then they just do the same thing. But once it hits the retail investors, that's pretty much a panic play, and they're just responding to what they believe is the truth in the market, which they don't know. And so these things have a cascade effect. And again, I'm going to say this, in this scenario, with uncertainty around a company that's already proven not to be profitable, is more than likely going to be a negative response.
Yep, and with shorting, the way it works is you just sell, you borrow the stock from the brokers, sell it, and then buy it back at a lower price, and you net that difference. So that's what shorting.
And then give it back to the broker.
Yeah, then give it back to the brokers. That's how you profit from shorting. But the issue with the reason we're bringing this up is because it's a big issue. Because if Elon Musk does not get, if the shareholders vote against the pay package, the $56 billion pay package, he's made it kind of clear like he might be out. Like he might literally.
I don't think he's gonna leave. I think he's gonna sink the ship if nothing else.
But I think he sinks the ship by. I think he might sink the ship by leaving.
I think it might do. That might put him in a better position, depending on who takes his place.
100% agree. I agree with that. I think if Elon Musk leaves,
I would invest in Tesla.
I would buy Tesla.
Depends on who replaces them.
Depends on who replaces them, and then what their strategy is. Because right now, the pure EV strategy is not the greatest business model right now. But if Elon Musk left, I would be more favorable. I'd be more favorable of buying the company. Not saying I would, but I would look at it again.
And for some of y'all that don't know, about 2018, 20, not sure, don't hold me to that, but there was a whisper in the market that Toyota and Tesla were going to join forces to utilize the technology and the amount of manufacturing plants that Toyota had and the technology that Tesla had, which I thought would have been a great marriage. But again, egos got involved and money didn't line up. So, do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember about it.
So, if something like that were, and my point is, if he were to leave and get out of the way of blocking things like that, Tesla is a desirable platform for many of these car companies to utilize the technology that they have, but it's been blocked. And if he's gone, there's a possibility somebody could come in like a Ford, Toyota might get back into it. It could actually make sense. So just my thoughts.
Yeah, and the biggest risk of this whole thing again is if Musk were to not get the pay package and either leave or just like Ron said, kind of try to sink the ship from inside, because he really is like, I deserve this. This is my money. You all approved this before. So if they doesn't get this, he'll be quite upset. So that brings uncertainty and risk around the stock.
You might see him in one of the plants with a flamethrower.
right. Hey, that guy, who knows? So we're bringing all this up. That's the reason why. So that's the reason why Tesla stock has been suffering the last 2-3 years. Whole ton of uncertainty. The primary reason is Tesla's profitability, sales, have gone down considerably.
And competition has increased.
Yep. That's a result of competition. The stock's fundamentals have decreased, and competition has increased, which has led to the fundamentals decreasing. And that's the problem with the stock. Then you have the overhang now of the whole Elon Musk drama, his pay package. Will he stay? Will he go? If he doesn't get it in the States, does he corrupt it from the inside? Who knows? So again, that's why I sold the stock a year and a half ago. Brent more recently, but it's gotten out of it. So just if you're in the stock, you want to pay attention to June 13th is the day of the vote by the Tesla shareholders if they approve this pay package. And if they don't, who knows? If they do, it may be good for shareholders. But again, the problem is that doesn't change the fundamentals of the company. The company is suffering badly in China, suffering badly here because of competition, and they cannot make. And so
the serviceable market is reduced.
Yeah, for them, yeah. And another problem with them is that they can't produce a car at a cheap enough price to make it desirable for Americans. China, they're subsidized by the government, and their costs are a lot cheaper because a lot of stuff actually produced in China. So over here, Tesla's really struggling to bring that price point below like 45,000, below 40. They had talked about one time
$25,000 car.
Yeah, they're talking about $30,000 car. Talking about that for years. Hasn't happened. Hasn't even come close. So Tesla's really in a bad position right now. So that's our take on Tesla. Both of us were, we look at it as the right call to get out of it, in the last year and a half. The stock is down considerably. Again, stock is down roughly 25-30% over the last year, 2 years. S&P 500 is up, I don't know, anywhere between 25 and 40%. So if you sat in Tesla, you've lost money versus, looking at the broader market.
And now this is a point for many of you all who I'm sure this will be new news. There was a company called Solar City that was out. This is years and years. This maybe early 2000s. Now what they were doing is they were putting solar cells on houses. It was Elon Musk's first cousin who was running it, and it was said to believe that essentially Elon Musk put him into that position because he needed to do other things, but he wanted to have control. Now, why is that important? Because everybody was looking at Solar City like they were going to be this cash cow and just climb to the moon, even to the point where Elon Musk came back to reclaim his company by absorbing it back into Tesla. And it was said that it was always slated to happen. When you really look at the financial solvency of the company, they were hemorrhaging money. And besides the hype and the media attention that it was getting, the companies, even the help that it was giving to homeowners for electric bills was kind of non-existent. And, I'm not saying Tesla's like that, but when Tesla absorbed them back, it was said they were going to start creating these off-grid houses, and they were also going to start working on, storage batteries. the batteries that they created, they fizzled. I mean, they've really fizzled, and some people got it, but it wasn't what they thought it'd be. And then you take these off-grid houses. They were supposed to be like $9,000 for a complete off-grid house to $10,000. Then they decided not to do that. They were going to create a separate company called Boxable. When they did Boxable, it was Elon Musk serving as the chair and two individuals, I forget where they're from, but it was going to do a partnership through Tesla with using Elon Musk, savvy, ingenuity, and name. That really didn't go anywhere. And so a lot of things connected to him have been failing, and it's been historically proven that the only thing they had was a lot of hype. And I'm not saying Tesla's that, but I am saying that to tell you all, it's not like Leon and I are saying is not knowing the other history of the companies that have been connected to Tesla very intimately. And so we're using that. Plus, we've been investing since we were 16. I mean, that's over 30 years of investing. And we've seen these companies that, they had a run. I mean, probably if you held Tesla for at least 10, 12 years, you're probably looking at over 1,000% rate of return. So nobody's mad at that. But if you have just gotten into Tesla in 2019 to now, don't hope that you're going to see that 1,000% return come back. I don't personally, this is me saying it, I don't think it's ever going to happen. And so if you are getting in, and you know what happens, you start having a conversation with friends, and they're like, oh, well, I'm at an 800% rate of return in Tesla, but they've been holding it for 7 years prior to 2019, 2020. And you're thinking, well, I want to get to that place again. So I'm just going to keep holding it. I'm going to keep holding it. I'm going to keep holding it. I don't think that's a good strategy. I think Leon would agree it's not a good strategy. Mm-hmm. And yes, they did do it in the past, but both of us don't see that being the future of the company.
No, and last point is I'll compare it to NVIDIA, right? So, most people watching this probably know NVIDIA's been on a tear. It's up 200% last 8 months. I mean, it's been crazy.
And we're going to do a video on that next week.
Yeah.
So,
but the difference with NVIDIA, the hype, like there's all this hype around AI, there's hype around NVIDIA. So when Tesla had all the hype in the 2010s through 2020, a lot of that was about the future of Tesla, right? And a lot of that came true. Built the car, got it out, had sales. The full self-driving car hasn't really come to fruition. Like Brent said, when they bought Solar City, they were talking about putting to help charge it, putting solar panels on the car. That hasn't come to fruition. So a lot of what he said with Tesla was a lot of hype, right? It was just a lot of hype. They're going to sell millions and millions of cars. They're going to put all, he was talking about putting car companies out of business. All this hype, right? A lot of that didn't happen. They sold a lot of cars. They were the first mover in the market, so they had that advantage. Now competition has come in, and they're kind of getting their butts kicked. Contrast that with NVIDIA, and Tesla didn't start actually making money, I don't think, until right around the pandemic. Contrast that with NVIDIA. NVIDIA's been around since 1993. They've been profitable since the 2010s. But right now, the hype around NVIDIA is not about future. It's right now. NVIDIA just reported a quarter where they made generate $26 billion in revenue in 3 months. And that's up it was like 400% over last year's revenue. And into the future. So that's
we don't want to go too deep into it.
Yeah. I'm not because we're going to have something deep in that.
Yes.
And so I'm saying all that to say NVIDIA is a story about actual revenue and actual profits. And the hype around NVIDIA is real, right? Because they're actually producing money. A lot of Tesla's hype before was stuff that Elon Musk was saying that was coming. And yes, they did find
media coverage.
Yeah, media coverage, his stuff on Twitter, a lot of hype. Yes, they produced cars. Yes, they made a little bit of money, but that was when they were the only player in town. NVIDIA has a ton of competition and still kicking everyone's butt.
So let's even talk about another company we can talk about was him buying Twitter.
Oh my God,
most of the deals he's done, honestly, like when you really look at the history of those companies, have been horrible. And Twitter. So again, we're not trying to make Elon Musk bash fest, but yes.
We're all saying facts. So Twitter was bought for $44 billion by Musk. Fidelity was one of the investors that went in with him. Fidelity, I think last week, wrote down their investments on Twitter by 71%. In other words, they're saying that Twitter is now worth 71% less than when Musk bought it at $44 billion. So do the math. $44 billion times 71%, whatever that number is how much Twitter is roughly worth now. So we're talking, I don't know, what, in the
a lot less.
A lot a lot. It's worth a lot less because of Elon Musk management. So we kind of want to just bring to light today this issue about Tesla, because we have a lot of people in our community that either owned or own Tesla. So we kind of want to address it. We want to give our perspective on it. We want to let people know why we ended up selling the stock, which we think is a great move, because we've redeployed that money to other things that have actually made us money. But we know since we've sold, Tesla's actually gone down more. So that was the podcast this week.
So we owe you all two things in stock picks. I know you're not used to seeing Leon and I sitting together, but we had this new table covering. We figured we would just do, the month of June's videos using it. But you may start seeing this more in the community. Our goal is actually to start spreading the gospel and demystifying the markets such as stock, crypto, real estate, and then private equity deals. A lot of people know about these things, but they've been waiting to get into it, or they just have been hoping somebody would educate them before they make their move. Leon and I have known about this for a while, and we do these videos because we hope you all, we're giving something to you that you can use and make your lives better. But at the same time, we have purchased this because we're going to start actually showing up places and answering questions live, helping families have real-time understanding of what can be done when utilizing stocks, real estate market, and the others in the proper way, or at least what we think is probably a more educated way. So there's always risk, and you have to make sure stock investing, any type of investing, fits your suitability. But for the most part, hopefully you will see us soon in the community, or you'll see some videos of us out amongst, everybody talking. COVID is not what it used to be. So, we're ready to get back out there and make an impact with Investing Education Academy. If you're looking to become a member, you can go to www.ieamembers.com. And if you are already a member, you can go there, log in, and see the 2 stock picks that we are about to give you from today's meeting. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, where we are going to be breaking down a lot of information about NVIDIA, and hopefully you can make some money there too. Now, I'm just going to put this out there. So if you all have been with us since like 2020s when we really kicked off, we talked about NVIDIA, AMD, and Taiwan Semiconductor way back then. If you had just bought it then, I'm not talking historically, just if you would have bought it then, and right now if you were still holding it you know what? We're going to tell you what the return would have been in 2 weeks. So stay tuned. That's our cliffhanger. And that way you want to check the next video to figure out if you had bought it in 2020, what would that interest or rate of return have been as of yesterday or so? All right, everybody. I have to get up and go turn the thing off now, so I didn't think it through. All right.